So welcome back to the 4 pillars of human movement. That 4th pillar is rotation. And if you saw the initial video where I talked about the 3 planes of human movement, we have the sagittal where our body's cut in half, and the left and the right side are doing the same thing, like a squat or a push-up, that type of thing. In the frontal plane, it might be something where we're reaching and pressing laterally like this, where the front and back half of the body are mirroring each other. In this rotational plane, this is where all the power comes from. So if you're a golfer, a tennis player, or you want to throw a ball with your grandkids, it's about rotation. That's where the power comes from. Some of you may have seen people that when they throw, they step with the wrong foot, with the same side, and they do this. Okay, does that look? You've seen this? Okay, now to compare that look with stepping with the opposite foot and getting this into it, rotation. So rotation is where power comes from. And you may not think that's important, but it'll save your back if you learn how to pivot and rotate. And if you don't remember anything else about the rotational plane, please remember this. Shoulders, hips, always together. So we never want to be in a situation where we're turning our body with our feet facing this way, our shoulders are going here, and then the worst thing is then bending. Okay? Even picking up a shoe or a piece of paper, if you do it too many times the wrong way, you stand the chance of going down with a back problem. So make sure that if you're going to pivot, just like you would if you were swinging a golf club, you wouldn't just stand there with your feet stuck in one position and do this. No, we shift our weight and then we pivot that back foot, and it'll get our hips through and our shoulders through at the same time. So then we've got power going through. So the practical application of this has more to do with how you approach a load, especially on the ground, or even in chopping and lifting patterns, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. So very important, again, make sure that if you're going to rotate, make sure that your hips and shoulders go together on this. Besides sports types patterns like swinging a club, a racket, throwing a ball, I want to demonstrate a couple of other rotational patterns that are good things to practice, and they have crossover to some of your daily activities, especially if you're chopping wood, for example. So a chopping pattern is one that tends to go diagonally in this case. Yes, I know sometimes we chop straight down, but to facilitate this rotational pattern, I want you to practice this at a diagonal. So you can take a dumbbell, a medicine ball, a rock, a basketball. It doesn't necessarily need to be heavy initially, but what you want to learn how to do is do a chopping pattern. So if I've got a ball or a rock or anything that I want to hang on to with both hands, I'm going to put this up by my ear in this position, and then as I swing down, I'm pivoting my right foot down and back, down and back, down. So it's just pivoting. And then the other side, it's up by the left ear, and we're swinging down and across. A lift pattern is just the opposite of that. We can start from that low position, and we can keep our arms straight and pivot up. So imagine you've got a small bucket of water and you want to throw it over your shoulder, put out a fire. So I'm here, and from the other side, starting here and up. Notice on all these lifting and chopping patterns, I'm maintaining a flat back. So I'm rotating from a position where my back is straight, never rounded. Okay, that's important. So always make sure flat back, and again, hips and shoulders always together. There's your rotation pattern. As we wrap up talking about the 4 pillars of human movement, the gait or locomotion, level changes, squatting, split squatting, single leg squat, pushing, pulling, and then we talked about rotation, the chopping pattern, and then the opposite of that, a lifting pattern. These are the elements that you want to try to incorporate in every workout. You can do specific core strength. There's a lot of other exercises you can do. But if you just try to pick one exercise that you know or like or need to do out of each category, the gait, or locomotion, level change, a push, a pull, and some type of rotational movement, you're really covering a good portion of activity or movement that will support your activities of daily living. So once you get comfortable with that, what will challenge you, see how many pillars of movement you can combine in one exercise. So what do I mean by that? So a level change, we've decided one example would be a squat. Now, if I have weights in my hand, I can squat, I can come up, and I can rotation and press. So I've done 3 pillars in one movement. A level change, a rotation, and a press. So that's your challenge. How creative can you be? I can be in that split stance we talked about. I've got a weight in this hand. I come down, level change, press. Okay? I can come down, I can squat, I can let my arms come up, I can pivot this way, pivot that way. So you get the idea. We're incorporating multiple pillars of movement, and you can cut your workout time drastically. Rather than just squatting, just pressing, and just working on rotation, in one exercise, that's your challenge. How many pillars can you incorporate? Now, the caveat to this is do what you can, don't try to get too fancy. Make sure you've really nailed those fundamental movement patterns. Exercise or movement practice needs to be safe and effective. So safety first. Once you've nailed those exercises that are basic, then you can start being creative, and it's almost limitless what you can do. Thanks for watching.